welcome to another episode of The Sport of Bowling Show. On this episode, we feature USBC President Melissa McDaniel, USBC Finance Committee Chair Cathy DeSocio, IBC Youth Committee Chair Chrissie Kent, and now, our host of the show, USBC Deputy Executive Director Jason Overstreet.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Sport of Bowling Show. I'm Jason Overstreet, and we're glad to have you with us here for this special edition on International Women's Day. International Women's Day is a global day celebrating the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women. Within USBC right now, we're at a unique time with some highly accomplished women leading the most important segments within our governance structure. USBC's president, Finance Committee Chair, along with the chair of the IBC Youth Committee, are all women. And today we'll learn more about their stories and paths to national leadership within the sport of bowling. To start us off, I'd like to welcome to the show USBC's President, Melissa McDaniel.
Hi, Jason. Thanks for having us.
Hi, Melissa. Welcome. Glad to have you. Next, we have the chair of the USBC Finance Committee and former USBC Vice President, Cathy DeSocio.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Cathy. And Cathy was also the first female president of the Bowling Proprietors Association of America, BPAA. Finally, we have Chrissie Kent, who is chair of the IBC Youth Committee. Chrissie, welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you all with us for this discussion, and we're going to have a great talk today. But before we get to the roundtable discussions and hearing from our guest here live, we want to share this video with some perspective on our guests and women in bowling in general.
The women in front of us, they're titans, right? I mean, they paved the way for us. I think we can all, as women, we can really look up to those that came before us and really appreciate what they did for the organization. You know, it was funny when I became president, I was the second female president. Well, okay, sure, for USBC, but man, there were so many women before me with WIBC, and it was just such a fantastic organization, and they were great mentors as well.
Somebody did ask me what it felt like to be the first woman president of BPAA, and I said, I don't know how else it would feel. I didn't have an option to be a man. I would go into meetings and sometimes sit there and be the only woman in the meeting, but it never occurred to me to look at that as a negative or a positive. It was just me. I was in the meeting, and I always felt like if I was qualified to be in the meeting and can contribute, then so be it. If I wasn't, I didn't want to be there as a token woman in a industry or in a meeting or anything like that. I wanted to be able to add value no matter what I did.
You know, there's so many women that were involved, that have been involved, you know, from Marion Ladowig to some of the people that I watched growing up, you know. And when I moved to New York, Millie Ignacio, you know, she was a big name too that I got to learn about. And it kind of levels the playing field. It kind of gives us the opportunity to have our voices heard and to share our opinions and our thoughts, and, you know, at least bring something to the table. So all of those that paved the way, we have to continue that. We have to continue with the strength of the women. And in my age group, I have to, you know, get more women involved or get more girls involved, you know, and we do that through our youth program. We do that through our youth leadership programs and things like that. So continuing the success of the women that have come before us is pretty big to me too.
So I think diversity is a really important piece for us, especially in today's society. I think women have a place in every aspect of the industry, from our volunteers to our staff to our governance leadership. I mean, it's just important, and it's important that the women have the equal opportunity that the men do, and coming through the process for that. And again, everything that we do from the USBC standpoint, it's just fantastic to see that we have women that are willing to step up and to help and to really get involved, because it takes us all to run it.
I think roles are changing in all aspects for people, but I think that the women's roles have changed the most dramatically. And the opportunities that are available for women are much greater now than they've ever been. And I think that that's important for every little girl out there to know, that she has an opportunity to do whatever it is she wants to do.
Some poignant comments from each of you within that piece. And as we start our roundtable, I would love to hear from each of you how you started on your path to national leadership within the sport of bowling. Melissa, can we start with you?
Sure. I think for me, my mom has been the general manager and worked for the Buffaloes for a really long time. So I've obviously looked up to my mother for a really long time in an industry that, our owners are male, and they hired 3 women to run their 3 largest centers. And so I've always looked up to my mom. And then the women proprietors, you have 2 of them on the set today here with Chrissie and Cathy. And Nancy Shank is also another one for me that lives very close to here, that, women that own their own businesses and are just truly doing amazing things for the bowling industry. And then lastly, I guess for me, I would have to say Cathy. I talked a lot about this, which wasn't in the videos, but I got into volunteer governance on a national level because of Cathy DeSocio. She appointed me to the IBC Youth Committee, and I'm forever grateful for it, because I have really enjoyed learning and growing as an individual as well, but really growing and learning how to enjoy it and how to really get involved and how to stay engaged. And, I thank her, and she knows that. She knows I love her. But, it's something that I will be forever grateful to Cathy for.
Well, Cathy, it's a perfect segue. Same question for you. What led to your path or started your journey to national leadership within bowling?
I was asked to chair the youth committee for BPAA. That was back before USBC and BPAA merged the youth committee into the IBC Youth. And I chaired that committee. And through that committee, Kevin Dornberger, who was then executive director of USBC, asked me to sit on some task forces and some committees that did some international things with USBC, and kind of gave me an insight into the 2 sides that at that time were working independently of each other. And I got to then help, with the formatting of putting those 2 organizations into one, which was pretty exciting. And, I think that everybody is asked to volunteer at some level. So very few of us raised our hand and said, hey, pick me. Somebody else asked us to join, and Jeff Boget was the one who appointed me and asked me to chair the youth committee for BPAA. So it was through him, probably.
Great. Thanks for sharing that story. And Chrissie, I know you're a lifelong bowler as well, but what had you transition from being involved in competition to being involved in leadership at the national level?
For me, it was kind of a be careful what you wish for scenario. I often, you look at things and you find things that you are passionate about, and you become a part of them. And then throughout the time that you're there, you see different things that maybe you would do differently, or you question maybe what's happening and things like that. And that's exactly what I did. But I didn't want to question it without a solution. So my idea of just getting involved instead of being a part of the problem was to be a part of the solution. So growing up, my parents were small business owners. My mom was her own small business owner. And, really that kind of, I saw what it took to do that. So that's kind of the proprietor in me that, wants to be involved, even with your junior program and outside of everything that we do within our businesses. And certainly Cathy was a huge part. My first job in a bowling center was at North Rock Lanes, under Cathy's dad. So that was very important to me. I got to see Cathy, working there. And then I just kind of kept an eye on her, of course, as she, just kept doing things in the industry. And I thought that was really cool. So when I decided to get involved, the youth part was important to me. And that's where I started.
This mentoring piece, I think, is a really important theme to touch upon. Melissa and Chrissie both mentioned it, but Cathy, I'm curious if you have anything to share in that regard in terms of mentors that you may have looked to along the way as you were starting off in the industry and getting closer to where you ended up.
Well, there were probably three women who I admired greatly. One of them was Ruth Macklin, who was very active in the MUBIC organization for bowling proprietors, and she inspired me and gave me lots of wisdom. Another would have been Hazel McCleary, who was tremendously involved with WIBC, and is one of the most gracious, kind, hardworking people that I've ever met. And then Cathy Cooper, who was involved with the youth before we all merged together. I admired her greatly, and her work ethic and what she would do for the kids. So I think the three of them kind of gave me all different aspects of our industry and kind of paved the way for a lot of the rest of us to come, and allowed us to do what we do because of what they did. So those three.
Several of you have mentioned the significance of WIBC and having all of those terrific leaders as mentors as you were getting started in your journey towards bowling leadership. I'm curious to know, Melissa, we can start with you. As you think about the next generation that may be looking at the three of you, what type of advice would you share as they consider getting involved at the next level of leadership within our sport?
I think it's really important to find someone to look up to and who has walked a mile in the shoes, so to speak. Like I mentioned earlier with Cathy, she was a great mentor. She helped me really get engaged and really learn and educate myself. And then just don't give up. Sometimes it's easy to say I can't, but it's way better to say I can. Get involved, stay educated, and just really learn and listen and just grow with it. It's such a rewarding thing to be able to sit in a room and listen to an industry that has so much to offer. And as a woman, I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Cathy or Chrissie, same question. Advice that you would give to the next generation coming behind you?
Well, I'll go. I think Chrissie and Melissa both hit on it in what they said. Melissa said, listen. I think it's so important to listen. I think we all have great ideas, but I think sometimes we tend to want to power our ideas through without really listening to everyone else in the room. And that doesn't make a good leader. And Chrissie said it too, be part of the change. You have to be able to work for solutions and not come in and just try to ramrod your ideas through or tell everybody else what they're doing wrong. Change comes from collaboration, and the ability for us to make an impactful difference has to come through collaboration with those who are already there. And I think that sometimes we're so excited to say, oh, I know what to do. And I think it's kind of disrespectful to those that are already there. And I think both of these women do an unbelievable job of creating that collaboration. And that's why they're both so successful.
Chrissie, any thoughts to add?
Yeah, I certainly agree with that. And that was, getting involved. You think so much about yourself. We're all selfish to a certain point, and then when you get involved, that's out of the question. You can no longer do that. So you have an opportunity to have a 30,000 foot, glimpse at things. And then you have to all come together and sit at the table and work things out. And at the end, it's just better for everybody that way.
All of you have been terrific, proactive advocates for competitive women's bowling and expanding those opportunities. PWBA is, of course, a huge piece of that. Let's take a look at our next video segment and hear some of your thoughts on the PWBA tour.
Applauding women that make a difference, right? That's important. I think it's very important for little girls and high school girls and then collegiate athletes to be able to see the PWBA as something that they can do.
It's a championship for Stephanie Johnson.
You need to see somebody doing what you aspire to do. It's a lot easier for those young girls to aspire to something that already exists rather than to try to invent something for themselves. And I think that, we should all be tremendously thankful for the women who went way before this. And, it was tremendously sad when that organization had to fold. And it just seemed like a natural fit for all of us to get together and try to help reignite women bowling.
That was an event for our staff and our owners that we couldn't wait for. We had been booked for a while, right? But my kids were so excited about seeing the women come in, and the PWBA, all the athletes were so just generous to all the fans in our bowling center. And it was a great thing for my kids, my little girls, to see, because a lot of them want to do that. That's their dream. They all have that, and now it's available for them, and that's an important thing for them to see.
The quality, the dedication, the level of work ethic that these young girls have, and they're aspiring because of the people who before.
Our female athletes, they just represent us so well. They've done such an amazing job, and I'm thankful for the way they have brought PWBA into 2022 now, and moving forward with it.
You can't win if you quit, so don't ever give up your dreams.
A great piece there. Melissa and Cathy, you both hosted PWBA events in your centers, talked about it some in that video, but what was it like personally for you after the PWBA was gone and then to have it return and see it in person in front of your customers?
Well, growing up, I was that person. I was that kid that watched bowling on the weekends, and I was always just so excited about it. And then when it came our time to be able to host a major, I think I got so excited. That tractor trailer pulled up in the parking lot, and I was outside taking videos and taking pictures with it. And then all my kids were, and then all their families were. And it was an amazing week for our bowlers, our kids, our families, our owners. These three guys were so excited. I don't know that they've ever been more excited for anything that we've ever done here. And we've done some pretty cool things. But that PWBA event and live television, they took a lot easier breaths than I did, sitting there watching the sweep go up and down during the television show. I was so nervous, but, we ran no stop, so that was a plus. But it was so rewarding, and I enjoyed it. And my kids talked about it for months and months when it was over with. Hey, when are you doing it again? Are they coming back? And we can't wait to host it again. Can't wait.
Cathy, you did so much behind the scenes to make the return of the PWBA tour possible. Yeah. What was it like when that event then came to Wichita?
It was very exciting, and it was like a fulfillment of something when you've worked so hard for something to happen. And there were tons of people who worked behind the scenes on this, but to actually see us have a platform for women at that caliber to get to compete was amazing. And what I found also so interesting was North Rock had hosted many professional bowlers events, but not a lot of professional women's events, obviously. So when we had that opportunity, just the interaction and the respect that the audience gave, the people coming to watch gave these women, and the level of, I don't know, excitement that the girls had for somebody actually coming in and watching them bowl. And, you know, these girls have practiced and practiced and practiced and did not have a platform to show off their talents. And here they had this wonderful platform. It was just unbelievable to watch that synchronicity between the audience and the spectators and the athletes. That it was amazing.
Yeah.
Chrissie, you're a high-level bowler yourself. Your husband, Doug, is a Hall of Famer. Curious your perspective on the impact that the professional tour and having these visible pros can have on youth development.
You know, it gives these young girls, as we've mentioned, something to aspire to, you know, and it gives them someone to look up to, someone to say, I want to be like that. I want to be like Shannon. I want to be like Danielle. I want to be like Stephanie. You know, it gives them that opportunity. And, you know, it's a part of our life, and we've enjoyed it for many, many years. I've watched it, you know, as young as when I was 3-4 years old, I was bowling in pro-ams. So that, to me, to be able to look up to any professional athlete and our women is incredible.
I would love to hear from each of you your thoughts on the importance of collegiate bowling, because that is really a space where we've seen an elevation of women's opportunities within the sports. Of course, NCAA status is unique for the women, and there's this growing impressive list of talented women coaches leading collegiate programs across the nation. For whoever wants to go first, just your thoughts on all that's been happening within that space.
I'll start. You know, we're there. I've watched the collegiate bowling. I was a collegiate bowler. The NCAA piece is huge for these girls. It gives them the opportunity to be a student athlete first, have the opportunity to, you know, with so many programs out there and with a lot of the top professionals leading these teams. That's something really cool for these girls to look at and say, I want to bowl for Shannon. I want to bowl for, Katie Thornton. I want to bowl for some of these women, Shannon Plahowski, you know. So it gives them someone to really say, you know, I know them, or I want to be with them. I want to hang out with them. I want to be coached by them, you know. So that piece is humongous for these young ladies, and it gives them a stepping stone to the PWBA tour. So having that collegiate aspect and the NCAA, you don't have to bowl, average 200. The NCAA, they have opportunities for everybody, you know, even those girls that average 150 and up. So don't ever question yourself of whether you're good enough or not to be an NCAA athlete, because we have that opportunity right here in bowling.
Yeah. And I'll just pick up on that a little bit too. You know, with our youth program, we're really starting to see a lot of our girls excel through college and through collegiate bowling. And, you know, one thing I admire most about, and I can only speak for my kids that are coming through, but they are really taking their education piece of it very seriously. They locate a school, or they find a school for them, and that their parents they meet with everybody, right? And they really get engaged in, okay, what is my major going to be? What do I want to do for the rest of my life? And then I want to bowl. And then they talk about the PWBA when they come out of it. So like Chrissie said, it's just a great stepping stone. And with the NCAA scholarship opportunities, I mean, we've got girls that are going to school and are not having to pay to go to college because they are athletes. They are bowling in college on full rides. And I think that's very important for people to realize, is that there is a lot of scholarship opportunity out there for collegiate bowlers as well.
Yeah, I'm very blessed where I live. There's unbelievably great collegiate programs in my backyard, and even outstanding ones 1 and 2 hours away from us. So I've got to witness this firsthand for a very long time. And for a very short period of time, I thought I might actually be a bowler. And I bowled for Wichita State for one little tiny second of my life and quickly realized that my talent level was not where it should be. So, but no, this ability, everything from NAIA to the championships that USBC hosts to the NCAA, there's a playing field for every single level of girl out there right now. And if they want to excel and bowl and get an education at the same time, there's so many avenues out there for them right now. And I just don't know that we've done as good a job as we probably could have getting that information out there to all of them. Because these programs are amazing and these coaches are amazing. But there's so many of them out there. It's the fastest growing segment, Chrissie, of USBC's is the collegiate. And so I just think that it's amazing. And I think that'll bode well for all of us long term as well, to help boost women bowling in leagues and women, bowling in our national tournaments. And, I think that once they've bowled and got it hooked on this at the collegiate level, maybe we've created a lifetime athlete.
Yeah, I agree.
It has been terrific to see that ladder expand. And really, I think we see in a lot of ways that girls and women being able to benefit from the expansion of collegiate and then have the aspiration of the PWBA tour ahead of them. Of course, looking back to the history, WIBC with some amazing traditions of its own, well before USBC and the merger. And I know that preserving some of those traditions is something that's important for each of you. One of the most significant is the women's championships. Let's take a look at a video with some more about that prestigious event.
I think it's always important to talk about the heritage, right? Women's Championship just celebrated over 100 years of bowling. And it's a platform for anybody to bowl. If you can come out and you can have fun, you can come out and be competitive, you can come out and meet new friends, but it's a platform for any woman bowler to come out and enjoy. And I think that's what makes it special.
I think that when USBC was formed and the two organizations melded together, I think a lot of women felt they might be overshadowed or they might be forced out and that the identity of the WIBC would be lost. And I think that now, since that has happened, the coming together, I think they can see that not only is the history and the integrity of the WIBC still there, it's been enhanced.
You don't have to be great. You can just come out and have fun and have a good time with your girlfriends. You get to travel and see a city that maybe you haven't seen before, but it's important that we celebrate the heritage of what the Women's Championships actually is.
I think it's tremendously important for women to have an opportunity, those of us who are not PWBA quality, but that are just avid bowlers who love doing what we do. I think it's important for us to have an opportunity to get together at a national tournament and really excel.
I love the fact that we get to honor women every year. They get to hoist a trophy at the end. We get to take pictures and celebrate those women the next year in the squad rooms. Then the participation, man, when you sit there and you get a lady that's getting a plaque that she's participated 40, 50 years, that is something that's just truly special.
I know each of you have participated in the women's championships for many years. I'm curious to hear some of your most memorable moments, and we're talking about on the lanes, not later in Reno or Vegas now.
Okay, so my most memorable, I actually shot 299, and after two really bad first two games, made a ball change and shot 299. And I held the high game for about an hour and a half. So on the very next squad shot 300. So I think for me, that was pretty memorable. I love the women's championships. I'm getting ready to have my 24th year, I think, in a row. So I'm super excited. I love this tournament. Absolutely love it.
Definitely for me is the year that our team won. I was bowling with my sister and a couple of friends that we had bowled with in college, that my sister bowled with in college. So that was pretty cool. You know, you take the lead and then you wait, and then you wait, and then you wait. And that was in Detroit. So, you know, the waiting period was actually fun too, was kind of exciting. We would be checking the leaderboard all the time, every day, every other day, and letting each other know how we were doing. So that certainly was the most exciting for me. And then also when my collegiate team actually got back together, we formed two teams, went to Reno, and we bowled the same week as the collegiate nationals were in Reno. So we went and watched Wichita State. We watched our alma mater. So that was really cool to bring our old team back. And I think that was like our 20-year reunion. So, that was really neat to bring everybody back together, and then to be able to have an opportunity to watch the current team. So those are my two most memorable.
Well, mine has nothing to do with performance, obviously, because clearly I am the worst bowler out of the three of us. So my most memorable was a couple years in a row, my team had the honor of getting to bowl with the survivor group for Bowl for the Cure women that USBC did put together, and to listen to those women's stories and watch them participate after they'd gone through so much, and what bowling meant to them, and how the power of their teammates brought them, you know, something they could still do that was reminiscent of their life pre-cancer. It was amazing. You know, it was that was very humbling to realize that the sport of bowling could create such happiness for this group of women who'd undergone, you know, so much. So that was mine, not performance related, but more inspirational related.
I remember being there with you at that event, Cathy, and I think it really speaks to one of the unique and special things about this event is that it has a whole different culture beyond just the competition that's part of it. And I'm hoping that each of you can maybe share a little bit about what you would explain or how you would convey that to the next group. We have this tremendous number of talented young women that may not have been exposed to this event before. And just could you share, you know, why it's worth taking the time, a little bit of expense to experience what this is all about?
I'll go ahead. I think, you know, that it's a team. You know, we all love being part of a team and having success as a team, whether it's in your workplace or on the lanes or wherever it is. So I think, you know, just conveying to them that how much fun the event is. Yes, there's some money to be made, and yes, there's some trophies to be had, but, you know, the camaraderie and the fun of that event, and looking forward to going to a different city, a different place, you know, have an opportunity to, you know, see somewhere maybe in the country that you've never been, you know, and to be a part of that, of the legacy that's there of the women's championships, you know, and just to put your name out there that you've been there. And then like Melissa, 24 straight years, you know, that's incredible. So I think just tell them how much fun it is, and the enjoyment of it, and being together with your girlfriends.
Yeah, I mean, I think she touched on it as well. You know, these girls coming out of college, it's Baker bowling, it's team bowling, and I think they would love it, you know, and so just trying to inspire them to continue on and to really just be engaged with the Open Championships. I mean, I think it's important. And I think that a lot of women are, as they come out of college and get settled into their work jobs and their families and things like that, that they would become engaged with the Women's Championships.
I think it's also important for me, we try to go about the same time every year. And so we tend to see some of the other same teams every year. These are women I would never see otherwise. So we get to meet up with friends that we've just made on the lanes that are coming into the event to bowl. We kind of look forward to seeing each other. We don't do anything the rest of the year with them, but it's kind of like, oh, how are you? You know, that kind of thing. And this year I'm going with a group of women, of which I think 3 of us out of 12 have only been here. The others will all be their first time. So I think it's really important for those of us who do go regularly to reach out to others and include them and invite them to come. I think sometimes it's a little scary for people to go to an event like that if they've never been before, if you have a whole team of brand new ones, I think it's easier for those of us who've been there a lot, to reach out and create some new teams or just have a companion team come with you. So that I think it makes it more fun because it kind of, you can show them the ropes or whatever. I just think that makes it fun.
Yeah.
It always starts because somebody invited me to come. And so
Yes.
I think that's something just to keep in mind. The more you can widen the circle to get people to try it. And once you try some of these events and experience it, it's hard not to be hooked. We've been talking throughout the show about progress, changes, times that have evolved to benefit women and offer more opportunities. And we also see some changes that might be interesting to discuss of whether they are positive or not. We used to have a lot of uniquely women's only leagues out there. Today, many more mixed, not as many women's only leagues. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I'm curious to get your perspective because it certainly has been a pretty dramatic shift over the last few decades.
I definitely think it's different. We have some women's leagues that are in the morning here, but now there are so many women that are engaged in the workforce, and they're, and then we have the moms, and they're so busy with their families and their kids. And I think it's important that they are in the mixed leagues and that they are engaging that way. But I just think moms and women, they're very busy today, the workforce and things like that. So I think we're seeing less of the women's leagues, but we are seeing the women still participating in bowling.
Yeah, and I also think that we see a lot less just men's leagues as well.
Yeah.
We don't just see less women only leagues. We see many more mixed or open leagues. That seems to be the prevailing trend. And so, I think it is unique because a lot of the women's leagues used to be during the daytime and not so much at night. And since, like Melissa said, they're in the workforce, those leagues are not available anymore. But those women are still participating. They're just doing it in a different way. And I think it's incumbent upon us to reach out to them and help create these teams so that they can come with other women. I bowl on a team that is, 2 women and 3 men. But now at this year, it's 3 women and 2 men. And so, I think that we bowl tournaments together as a group. And I think that what we have to do to get women into women's nationals is to, encourage those women to expand and invite others to come with them. I think there's still a place. And a lot of men's teams that bowl together, they don't bowl together league. They bowl other things together and they grab a friend. And I think we need to do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the mixed leagues, I think a lot of times parents today need to spend some time together. They need to spend some time together outside the home. So, maybe that's their date night. So they join a mixed league, and that's okay because the women are still bowling and they still have a place and there's still an opportunity for them. So I'm all for mixed leagues, open leagues, whatever it might be. So just as we continue to keep these women bowling.
Yeah, I think that's prevalent what Chrissie just said too, especially coming out of the last 2 years when you said, hey, these people they want to bowl together. They've worked from home, their kids have schooled from home, and so getting out of the home and really doing it together, I think is important today, even more than in the past.
Great perspective. We've had as part of this show some great talks about the next generation of youth bowlers, and there's certainly no doubt that women, moms specifically, are a huge part of driving opportunities for youth bowlers and kids around the country. So I want to take a look at our next video as we hear Chrissie share some more about youth bowling and those who make it possible.
You've got people that do it right at the in-league center or the in-league level. They have a lot of league bowlers. Melissa McDaniel is a prime example of that. Cathy DeSocio, some of her centers, they have a lot of youth and some of their coordinators are really great. So you've got just people all across the country that put their time and effort in, that run a great program, and they're willing to help, and don't reinvent the wheel. Just reach out to those people. If they're doing it right, reach out to those people and get some good advice. It's getting everyone involved. It's showing them the opportunity that's there, and then the camaraderie of it. All of the kids have the same jerseys. They look like one entire big team when they walk into the center. And the camaraderie of it right now is so big because the kids have the opportunity to still stay in touch once they leave through social media. We have 48 teams, I think it is. There's a bunch of kids. My sister puts together a group, and we have she actually has kids that come to that just for the Youth Open. They don't bowl junior gold, so it's their national event, like the adults. There's, 60, 100,000, 120,000, $200,000. There's money all over the place that gives our kids the opportunity to go to college. And you don't have to be a bowler. You don't have to be a great bowler. You have to be able to write an essay and be a good human being, a good student. So that really gives them, the opportunity to not always have to be the best bowler.
Melissa, you run one of the most successful youth programs in the country. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on what it takes to build that great youth community locally.
It takes a village. I will tell you that. I always refer to it. Everybody needs a Janice. I have a Janice that she is just amazing. She comes in and she stays late on Saturdays. She does all of our paperwork for our tournaments. We fill out the paperwork for them. We do a lot to keep the moms or the dads engaged, right? So that it's less work on them, a little more work for us, but it's less work for them. And that way it kind of keeps them engaged, right? Keeps them coming back. They know there's a schedule. But we do a lot for our kids too. We have a nationally recognized junior gold team that we do coaching once a month with them. There are 4 silver level coaches that help. But our owners really dug into this about 10 years ago. It's more than a couple now, about 10 years ago. And they just, they saw the potential, and they wanted their kids to have such a great experience youth bowling that they continued to be adult league bowlers when they come back from college, or even trade school, coming back and staying involved in the game as far as, throughout their lifetime bowlers. And, taking the kids to junior gold, I take about anywhere from 40 to 50 kids a year to junior gold, but watching them succeed on the lanes and really just helping them learn and grow in the sport and grow as human beings. I mean, look, we all learn from each other, and I think that's important for kids as well. Coaching goes, the parents want to see their kids recognized. They want to see them do well and achieve their goals. And I think that's really important to kind of help that along. I get sometimes accused of like tough love, and I do. It's a little bit of tough love on the lanes, but I think it helps them. It builds their character. It helps their confidence. And so, I mean, I'm a huge component of the coaching side of it as well.
Cathy, I know that whether it was as president of BPAA or vice president of USBC, that you've been consistently vocal about the importance of investing in the youth for the long-term success of the bowling industry. Could you talk a little bit about that for us?
Yeah, I think that our future is those kids. Those kids, like everybody else has said, they grow up and then they continue the sport. And I think that it's sometimes proprietors look at it as little money for the hours that they have to devote, but you're cultivating. This is a great sport to cultivate for a lifetime bowler. Bowling is a lifetime sport, and I think it's super important for us to get these kids in and get them hooked early. This is something they can do forever. And I think we have a responsibility to bring them along. We call it a ladder. There's a process to move these kids from one rung to the next so that they can be competitive. And coaching is 100% one of the biggest influences for these kids. Everybody wants to do something well and they want to get better. And I think parents will invest in things that make their kids happy. And they will invest in things that they see are making their kids not only better bowlers, but better people. And I think that we as proprietors, coaches, USBC, BPAA, we have this wonderful opportunity to influence these kids in a positive way. And by providing the coaching, the tournaments, all of the fun aspects of the game, so that these kids understand that this is something that they can hold on and do forever. And if we don't do that, it's shame on us, because they're out there and they're wanting to get better, and they're wanting to compete, and they're wanting recognition. And it's our job to make sure that happens. And if we do that correctly, it's like a silo effect. If we grow these kids at the base and they become addicted to our sport, they're going to continue to do that as they get older and grow up. So I think it's tremendously important that we have youth programs.
Yeah.
Certainly instruction and recognition once they get in are critical. And each of you have touched upon the gatekeepers, the parents. And I think that we all agree that mom is a key to that. Chrissie, can you share some things that bowling can do to engage moms or make it easier so that they want bowling to be that sport that they choose for their kids?
I think it starts with, education on our part. It starts with communication on our part, as proprietors, as youth coaches, things like that. Also being involved in the in-school bowling program. The kids want to be a part of something. So when they have that opportunity, in-school bowling, where their class takes a field trip or they go to a birthday party, it's very important that we reach out to them, we get their information, we get them in a youth league, run a youth league, whatever day of the week works for you. Saturdays doesn't work for everybody. There's so many other sports for kids to choose from. We need to give them a Monday, a Wednesday, maybe a Thursday, whatever day that it is, but get them involved. Everybody has fun at a birthday party. We've got to let them know that they can continue to have that fun in a league, in an environment that is, has coaches and things like that. I don't know that, enough people realize that we offer that. And the SMART program is very important. There's such an opportunity for, college to be paid for. We have a lot of kids that come out, and their college is paid for. 4 years of education is paid for due to what bowling offers, and is the only sport that offers that opportunity. So I get to watch my sister. I have my own youth program, but, as we watch her with the teams that she takes to the youth open, and then on her Friday night league, she does the recognition so incredibly well. I've been fortunate to be there to see it, that these kids light up, the parents get excited, because the parents really don't know how to do it. We have to create that environment for them. And so just to continue to, start at the proprietor level, get everyone to understand how important youth bowling is.
Can I add on to what Chrissie said too? I think the 8-for-8 program, where we get actual bowling balls in these kids' hands, is incredible. It's, if there's a visual reminder, we always talk about top of mind awareness with bowling, and how we need to increase top of mind awareness so that people think, hey, let's go bowling. I think with a bowling ball in these kids' hands, there's a visual reminder for these kids while they're sitting there playing their video games. Oh, wow, there's my bowling ball sitting there. Maybe I should go practice, or maybe I just think it's so important for us to get equipment in these kids' hands so that they, one, can get better, and two, remind them that how much fun they have when they do bowl.
Right.
Plus, how cool is it when the kid brings his or her own ball to a birthday party, and then the other kids get talking about it and ask, where'd you get that from?
Absolutely.
And then it starts. Well, Chrissie mentioned it, but also want to remind everybody the resources here at the campus to help with youth development, both on bowl.com in terms of resources, but also our staff. Anything that is ever needed within the field, please contact us, our staff here, to be able to assist in getting youth programs off the ground or just make them that much better. Well, as we wind down into our final segment here on International Women's Day, I would like to ask each of you just to share some final thoughts on the topics that we've covered, or just your thoughts about the progress of women within our sports. And we'll start with Melissa.
First of all, thanks for doing this. I think this is so important. I think it's amazing that we get to celebrate the history and everything that has come before us, and then actually be a part of what's going to be in the future, right? I mean, really helping it along and really educating the kids or teenagers that are coming up in our own bowling centers and our own programs, and help guiding them through that process. It's amazing to be able to be a part of that, and I am very grateful. And the staff, you guys have done an amazing job with this. I mean, it's truly wonderful what you guys have put together here.
Appreciate that. Cathy?
I'm just thankful that I am part of an industry that gives the opportunity for all of us to excel, whether we be behind the scenes and non-athletically inclined, or whether we are athletes, parents. We have an open door policy, almost more so than any other sport, that it gives women the opportunity to excel, whether it be as a youth coordinator, as a parent pushing their children, as a businesswoman, as a volunteer. We have opportunities everywhere we turn, and we are very lucky to be in an industry that is this open to women taking roles in leadership. So I'm very thankful for that.
Cathy's not giving herself enough credit. She is a good bowler, perhaps not having a pro title, but a good bowler. I just want to make that clear for the record.
No, not really.
Chrissie, your thoughts? Not on Cathy's bowling, but closing thoughts.
So much the same as the other two. I'm thankful. I'm grateful. My parents got me into bowling when I was just, a toddler, and I've had the opportunity to, I followed my sister's footsteps. I've watched her my entire life. I was able to grow and learn from her. Now we stayed in an industry that allows women to have the opportunities to be a part of something like this. That is so important for young girls, and hopefully we can continue to, pass this along, and just ask somebody to be a part of this. I think so many people want to be a part of something good. They don't know how to get started, so they just need to be asked. So I'm thankful. I'm honored to be alongside of these two incredible women that are a part of our sport, and then I get to call friends.
Well, that's a great way to conclude things. I certainly want to thank you all for joining us today. The three of you, thank you for your dedication and service to our sport. And most importantly, thank you for being that next generational inspiration, the folks that people can look up to that are coming behind you. It really means a lot. I want to also give a shout out to Jason Thomas for producing the video segments that were included as part of our show today. We certainly enjoyed those, and remind everybody that each of those videos are going to be available on YouTube and on social media. So please do share them so they have a wider audience throughout our community as we celebrate Women's History Month. Today's show producer was Aaron Smith. Thank you, Aaron, for your assistance here in the studio. And as a reminder, this weekend on Bowl TV, we have some exciting live action collegiate sectionals coming up. So be sure to tune in. Until next time, I'm Jason Overstreet, and thanks again for joining us for this special edition of the Sport of Bowling Show.